Hello and welcome to the Critically Curious. Today we are going to be doing a tips video, a did you know video for Dungeons 4. Now Dungeons 4 has just released. I was lucky enough to get the game beforehand and oh my god have I had a good time. However, I kind of wish I knew these things before I started. So without further ado, here's my 8 tips for you. Now, tip number 1 should be to start off with Talia. Now, when I first started playing this game, I was a little bit hesitant into sending her into battle, but she is actually a very, very powerful hero for you to use. But did you know that if she dies in battle, well, that's not the end of it. Oh no, those little snots can bring her back to life, and there's pretty much no repercussions from this whatsoever. So do yourselves a favor and send her into battle to support your other troops. Tip number 2 is that while you are mining your dungeon, you will come across resources. Sometimes you're waiting for your snots to come along and pick up those resources for you to actually use. I know that 1 or 2 times I have waited upon waiting for my snots to get to work and actually do their job, picking up the resources that they found in a dungeon. But did you know that you, as the dungeon keeper, can actually pick up those resources yourself and then choose where to distribute them? If you put them in the correct rooms assigned to the resource, of course, then it's going to go straight into your banks for you to use whenever you want. Seriously, this is a huge help. I cannot tell you how much time I have wasted just trying to wait for my snots to actually do their job. This way, it's done in a matter of seconds. Tip number 3, did you know that if your snots don't have much work to do, they will kind of occupy themselves and they can actually decorate the corridors, the hallways of your dungeon, even the rooms that maybe you're not even using. It's kind of cool. It's a really nice feature. I wish they would do it a little bit faster, but it is actually something that I think looks rather snazzy. Tip number 4 is a quick shout out to my favorite unit in the game. The Bone Lord is an awesome unit to have. They seem to deal incredible damage. They rarely go down. When they do go down, they kind of resurrect as well. They are rather expensive, unfortunately. But the Bone Lords really do some massive damage and are a reliable unit. Yes, they do cost a little bit of money, but seriously, I bank my bottom dollar on those Bone Lords doing their job. Tip number 5 is, did you know you can actually raid other dwarven bases? So if you run into some dwarfs while you are expanding your dungeon, typically depending on how long you leave it to attack them, they will accumulate a rather nice pile of gold or resources. You can actually raid those resources. Now, with the tip we told you about earlier, you just use your hand to pick up all of those goodies, and then of course you can just dump it straight into the correct room, this being the treasury, of course. And as you can see, we are picking up a huge amount of gold. Now, if we find our treasury and dump all of that gold inside, well, you can see that goes straight into the bank. Now, I unfortunately was already kind of capped out, but it went into my corridors and expanded through the door. As I either make a bigger room or, of course, my money drops, I can just throw that in a room. So raiding those other dwarven settlements can be really useful. Tip number 6, if I ever happen across a lot of gold veins or diamond veins, I'd actually make the area around it a treasury. Now, the reason this is because it allows the snots to mine those gold veins, to mine those diamond veins, and actually pop that money straight into your bank account as soon as possible. Normally it will take the snots a while to actually go from digging and mining those veins to bringing it into your treasuries. That takes a decent amount of time sometimes, unfortunately, but if you just turn the room into a quick treasury, it's so much quicker, so much easier, and just allows you to get your hands on those resources that much quicker. Tip number 7 is to be careful about how quickly you actually expand. Now, when you expand your dungeon, you've got a chance of revealing other rooms within that dungeon. Some of those rooms aren't necessarily friendly. They can be lava pits, they can have some demons inside them, or of course you can reveal a dwarven location and other settlements underneath in that dungeon that then means they have a direct line to your own dungeon heart. So be careful about just how quick you actually expand at the beginning. Now, personally, I do quite like to find out what the dungeons have to offer, as soon as I can. But of course, if you do happen across one of those dwarven settlements, then it can be really difficult for you to fight off those invaders so early on. And the final tip is that although the guard rooms within your dungeon are very useful, the troops that you put in them can seriously do a decent job at defending your dungeon heart. Actually making trap rooms, actually making a kind of labyrinth within your dungeon is a hell of a lot more effective than bringing up your own units against those heroes that are constantly invading your dungeon. And with that in mind, although it can be really tempting to strive for those next units to enable to upgrade them to get the bigger, the badder units, I would recommend slowing your game down a little bit, especially when you can, because resources within a dungeon are limited. And if you expand too quickly, if you misspend, it can be really difficult sometimes to complete the mission you're on because, as we just said, resources can be rather limited. But there we have it, guys. Those are my 8 tips for you. If you have your own tip that you want to share, don't forget to comment down in the video that. And of course, if you have had a chance to play Dungeons 4, let us know what you think if you're enjoying it. We also have an active and growing Discord, so if you're looking for someone to co-op this game with, then my Discord could be the perfect place to find that second person. You can find the link down in the description of this video. But until next time, I've been a monk, we've been a Critically, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and happy gaming.